Good afternoon. About a half an hour ago, we heard the good news that Israel assassinated, deep in Beirut, the second, number 2 in Hezbollah, Fouad Shukr, who was responsible for the 12 children that were killed in the Golan on Shabbos, and was also responsible, amongst other, and played a lead role in 1983 in the attack on the U.S. Marines that killed 241 Marines. In fact, America had a bounty of $5 million on his head. And Israel, as a response to what happened on Shabbos, and again today someone was unfortunately killed, Israel retaliated deep into Beirut, sending a message to Nasrallah himself and to Khamenei that we know where everyone is and we could get everyone that we want. And hopefully it will send the right message of strength and that Israel won't bow to terror. But I want to speak about something painful. What happened in the interrogation center in Sde Teiman in Israel yesterday, where people came barging in and broke through the fences, protesting that soldiers were arrested for abusing Palestinian prisoners. Now, of course, I don't know the details of what happened, and there is a court of law, and hopefully this will be investigated, and I'm hoping that, of course, they didn't do anything and they're innocent, because the soldiers of the IDF are the best soldiers, but that's not my department. That is the systems department. And I wanted to say how painful it was to see what went on. What our enemies want more than anything is infighting. The way they were arrested was not okay, but that does never excuse breaking the law and breaking into a place you're not supposed to. There's means and ways to deal with it. We have such terrible enemies who want to annihilate every single one of us. And the one thing they want more than anything is infighting, because they know that that's the only way they could break the Jewish people. So we have to come together, and instead of inflaming the flames, we have to lower the temperature and remember that we're one people, and we have one army, and we have one court system and one government, and together I'm hoping that these things could be a lesson to us in how to be more careful to stay united as a Jewish people. And it reminds me of this week's Torah portion, because this Shabbos we read 2 Torah portions. The first Torah portion is Matot and the second is Maseh. We're going to finish the book of Numbers. Maseh means the travels. And in the beginning of Maseh, Moses goes through all the 40 travels that the Jewish people took in the desert. 42 times the Jews traveled, and he goes through each one. And he just mentions them, but by a few of them he stops and he tells us a detail about them. And one of the places that Moses stops by in this week's Torah portion is when the Jews came to Hor HaHar. And that's where he pauses and he says that the Jews came to Hor HaHar, and Aaron went up to the mountain and he passed away there. And it gives the date. I apologize. And he gives the date that Aaron passed away, which is the first day of Av, which is next week, Monday. Aaron is the only time in the entire Torah that the Torah tells us the date that someone passed away. Neither by the matriarchs or by the patriarchs does the Torah tell us the date they passed away. We might know it, but not from the actual Bible. The only time the Torah tells us that is by Aaron. And the question is why? And not only that, why does the Torah tell it us in this week's Torah portion, not when he passed away, which happened a few weeks ago in the portion of a couple of weeks earlier, but he tells it to us now? And the Rebbe, in the revolutionary talk that he gave, says something very powerful that speaks to the power of Aaron. You see, Aaron was the man of peace, the man of unity, the man who brought people together, marriages, siblings. He brought unity amongst the Jewish people, and that's why we know that the clouds of glory were there in the honor of Aaron, because the clouds of glory protected the Jews and united them and brought them unity. And that's why when Aaron passed away, it says that Aaron, the Jewish people, both men, women, and children, cried for him for 30 days because he brought peace and unity amongst the people. Now the Talmud tells us that before God gives a sickness, he gives a remedy for it. And the Rebbe says like this, Aleph Av is the first day of Av, the day that Aaron passes away, is the first day when we begin the intense mourning for the destruction of the two temples, both the first temple by the Babylonians and the second temple by the Romans, 2,600 years ago and 1,900 plus years ago. And it's a time when we don't eat meat, and we don't drink wine, and we don't go on extended vacations. It's a serious and sad time. And the Torah tells us that the reason why the temple was destroyed was because the Jewish people didn't love and care and nurture for each other. There was sinat chinam, there was hate for no reason. Says the Rebbe, that's why God tells us when Aaron passed away. And that's why he tells it to us in this week's portion, which is always read right before the 9 days or in the 9 days, and sometimes it's even read on the day of Aaron's passing. Because the Torah wants to tell us that in the face of hate and disunity and fighting amongst the Jewish people, we have the strength of Aaron, because we know on the day of a passing of a great sage, of a tzaddik, it's the culmination of his life work, and it brings into strength all that he or she lived and fought for. And what was Aaron's epitome of what he lived for? It was love and unity and peace amongst the Jewish people. Tells us the Torah, the day of his passing, the first day of Av, at this time of intense mourning, when we mourn the destruction of the temples that happened because of disunity. The Torah says there's a medicine. The medicine is Aaron, the high priest, who loved unconditionally every Jew and made it his life mission to bring unity amongst the Jewish people. And there's no greater message and time for it than now, when we witnessed what happened yesterday in Sde Teiman, and we saw how quickly these flames could be blown out of proportion. We have enemies that want to kill us and annihilate us all over the world. Just now Israel went and attacked in Beirut, the second in Hezbollah, as retaliation for 12 kids that were killed and for someone else that was killed today. And yet we're fighting like that. We need to take the message from Aaron, whose Yartzeit will be Monday, and the Torah's message of giving it to us, that we have the strength as a people to unite. Don't let the hate, don't let the people who want to break us up, because if we're united, if we're strong together, then no one could break us. God bless you and have